Hello everyone and thank you for joining me. Today I will be using a fountain pen that I find quite interesting and that it's actually one of my very few favorite fountain pens coming from Monteverde. While one of the favorites from what I own from them, did not have a chance to try all of their models. Pretty neat design, I would say. I believe they had a few versions of this Jewelria model. Mine it's almost all metal construction with the exception of the section and the black bits you see on the finial for the barrel and the cap. Speaking of the cap, pretty neat cap that holds one of my favorite type of clips, a clip that works quite well and never had any issues with it so far. To remove the cap, you have to unscrew it from the pen and it pulls very nice and secure on the barrel by, well, screwing it back in on the pen. It does make the pen quite long and a little bit top heavy, but I don't find it that bad for my hands. I do prefer it posted while drawing, but most of the time I would use it unposted when writing. The only comment I would have on the posting part is that the clip is not in alignment with the nib when the cap is posted. The nib on this fountain pen is actually nice, at least that's what I remember from last time I used it, and I do believe it is a Jowo nib and the size for it is, well, as usual for most of my fountain pens, an extra fine. That feels more like a fine to me, and it comes paired with a generic feed that does the job well, even though it's plain and boring. But somehow, in a weird way, it fits the pen quite well in the end. As an extra bonus points, the fountain pen does come with a converter included, and as most of their fountain pens, this is a screw-in converter. I don't see the point of screw-in converters, especially on this fountain pen. It looks like a Schneider converter that they tapped threads on it, but I guess it's okay, nothing wrong with it, I can't complain. It just takes longer to take it off. Some people do love this. For today's ink, I decided to use the Monteverde Midnight Black ink. One thing that I do enjoy when I'm using the Monteverde fountain pens is that I get to use, well, their inks, which I kinda like, especially this one that I'm using today, and the other one that I have from them, the Black Ash ink. No problem during the fill up, I did a little bit of mistake when I cleaned it and somehow did not clean the section properly. So when I started to write, I ended up with all three of my fingers full of ink. Not the pen's fault, definitely my fault for not cleaning it properly. I guess that's the downside of having a black section and using a black ink. If you don't pay attention, it's very easy to miss spots and end up with, well, surprises. But then again, if you deal with fountain pens, inky fingers, it's a feature, not a defect. As for the actual writing part, things weren't as smooth. I had a little bit of hard start, and then the nib with this specific ink felt a little bit scratchy and rough. Last time I used it, I used a different kind of ink, don't remember the ink, but I don't remember being so rough and dry. So after the writing part, I took a little bit of time and just smoothed out the nib slightly. Not a lot, since I do prefer a more grabby nib when drawing, but enough to get the roughness out of it and make it work with the ink a little bit better. So basically in the end, an average Jowo nib, good looking but nothing spectacular about it. It'll do the job as needed, but obviously the Jowo company doesn't really fine-tune their nibs, nor does Monteverde. I mean, kinda hard to blame them, I guess. I'm kind of in the same boat with them. I'm not really a nib meister, so tuning the nibs is out of my budget, and I'm forced to use whatever nibs I get for my fountain pens as well. Maybe one day, maybe I'll get better at fine-tuning nibs. Other than that, it's just sending the nibs to a nib meister, but that will increase the prices of pretty much everything. So I would say no, for now at least. Anyway, going away from the nib, in the end everything was kinda okay, not a lot of complaints about it. I was more excited about the drawing that I will be doing today, so let me switch gears a little bit and see how I did today with today's Scribble. Today I actually had an idea on how to start off my drawing. I basically woke up one of the past days with these two round things in my head, And I did a very quick scribble on a piece of paper to remember it for later, and well, the later was today. I did start it with a pencil just to see what kind of shape these round things will evolve into, and well, the result, it kind of took me by surprise. I've never tried to attempt a drawing like this, and to be honest, I kind of dig the results a lot. I wish I would have this kind of ideas a little more often than usual. Basically, I've ended up with some sort of a robot, I guess, with 2 huge eyes, 4 legs, and lots of wires coming out of it and connecting in different parts of the body. Oh, and some antennas. Gotta have antennas on the robot, right? And then towards the end, I had the inspiration to use the Jinhao 35 that I previously used and filled with red ink and draw its eyes all red. It really pops at you now, and it's kind of hard to ignore it. I paid a lot of attention to the eyes rather than the shape of the body, because that was the main thing that I had in my head when I got up the bed. The rest was not that important in my mind, at least. It was just means to keep those bulbous eyes in the air, I guess. Could have been anything, basically. I also like the idea of adding the neurographic style lines to the construction of the eye. Same lines that I've been using in the past, but here they kind of make you feel like those eyes are built from all kind of wires that surrounds the eye. I kind of like that idea, and I went for it, and I don't know, it kind of made sense as I was drawing it. Speaking of neurographic style drawing, as a side note, I really like that style, but personally I can't really do a lot of lines like this. The weird reason is, if I do this for too long, I'm starting literally, and I mean literally, I start seeing double lines, and I need to take like a 10-15 minutes break to let my eyes rest. No idea why, but to be honest, it is annoying. This is one of the other reasons why I stress so much on doing scribbles, or better said, more loose lines on the page. This forces me to not focus as much on the details, and this way I don't end up seeing double lines. Anyway, back to the drawing. I love the end results. Not sure if I will do more of the same in the future, but I honestly hope so. I hope I will get more ideas like this. If not, I'll probably go back to my odd, weird monsters. But hey, at least so far into this year, most of my drawings did have a theme to them. They all have eyes so far. As for the fountain pen, it worked a treat. I really cannot complain. Feels a lot like a heavier pencil in hand, especially with this ink. And that nib had an amazing ink flow, especially after I worked a little bit on it to smooth it out. And the good thing about it, this thing is really frugal in using ink. I barely used only a quarter of the ink that I put on it. I think I might end up, I guess, doing a few separate scribbles in my Scribble sketchbook that I have been doing abstract lines. So overall, I still like it, maybe even a little bit more, especially after getting a drawing that I actually like with it. Do you tend to like fountain pens more just because, or specific fountain pens more, just because you had some inspiration to make some nice lines with it, either writing or drawing, or you never connect that to the object you are holding and just think of the pens as tools and nothing else? I sometimes tend to give personas to the objects that I interact with, especially the ones that I had for a long period of time. Like, for example, my car is my other old lady, as I like to call her. Is not an it, that's for sure. Well, at least not for me. Anyway, yes, I am odd, I'll admit it. And well, I guess I'm kind of out of words right now, and so I guess that's my cue to make myself disappear and let you enjoy the rest of the scribble. And I appreciate if you get to watch it all the way to the end. Comments, as usual, leave them below, and I will reply to them as soon as I get the chance. Wish you all the best and a wonderful day or night, wherever you are. Take care. Bye.